And we're off and running for our last Lunch and Learn series with text help. So I'm going to just turn it over so Kyle has the full 29 minutes to share with everybody. Again, this will be recorded, so feel free to share with others. And the link to the resources I will put in the chat, and the recording will be posted on that same document when we're done. So welcome, everybody. Kyle, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining our last Lunch and Learn series today. Can you believe it is the last day of January? Wow, where did January go? And you include, like, I know you guys have had like snow days and we've had a ton of snow and now the snow's melting and today's supposed to be 40 here. So a lot of good stuff. Spring is coming, everyone. Spring is coming. So today, what we're really going to cover is really how uPar is being practiced in some of those case studies. We're going to look at it from kind of a statewide view, from a district view. We'll also talk about kind of one really cool case study with a little boy named Bobby. His name isn't Bobby, but I gave him the name Bobby. And we'll look at those things. And then I've got, an exciting announcement at the end and some resources for scheduling any of those kind of training or implementation things. So again, thank you today. Super excited about this session. I've never done a session like this before where we're talking about like large statewide deals and what's happening across the country. Because I think one thing about uPar is the story that is being told across the country and especially here in Iowa. So super excited to be talking with you all. Again, I'm Kyle Krause. You've got my contact information. Please do not be shy of reaching out to me on any of those questions. I'll give you a link to my Calendly where you can book those training, any overviews, any implementation strategy sessions that you want as well. So before we begin, we're going to kind of start with a little bit of like a geography test. So I just want you to look at these. There's 4 states, and actually the one in the corner is not actually a state. Does anyone know in the chat, do you know what these states are? These outline of these states. Obviously, everyone here is going to know this one. That's Iowa. But do you know any of these other states? Just curious. In the chat, go ahead and put, if you know. Arkansas, yep, this one's Arkansas. Missouri, Nebraska, Ohio. Sorry, Laura, neither 3 of those. But good guess. So this is Arkansas. This is Iowa. Anyone? Oh, we do not have any geography teachers. Georgia, yes, we've got Georgia. Georgia, this is Georgia right here. And then this one, think out like west, think the desert, think warm, not Arizona, very close. This is like the hardest one, not Nevada. New Mexico, there you go, Elizabeth, New Mexico. So this is New Mexico, and this is not even a state. This is actually the territory of Guam. And the reason I'm showing you this is because within all of these 4 states and the territory of Guam, we have uPar statewide initiatives happening. And what's really cool is each state is actually kind of doing different things on how they're approaching uPar. And so I just want to take a moment to talk about some of those. I'm actually helping lead a few of these, or have helped lead a few of these. And I think it's just really interesting to see, where people start with uPar and so sort of like that larger implementation, especially as we talk about Iowa specifically. And then we'll take a look at some of those more district level things that are happening as well. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk about what's happening in different state levels and how they are approaching uPar and who it's being utilized for and the resources and the tools that they are giving students to support that. We'll talk about some district level things that are happening that I've worked with districts in the past before. And as we think about how we implement or how we start talking about uPar at a district-wide level, we'll take a peek at that. We'll talk about little Bobby, and we'll look at little Bobby's uPar data and talk about how, even though maybe with uPar data, we don't see that benefit right away, doesn't mean that over time and with the resources like Read and Write, that students would gain access and have success within their reading comprehension. And then finally, coming this spring, I've got some really cool opportunities for you that I'll talk about. So let's get rolling today. So talking about kind of uPar at the statewide level. So we're obviously going to first talk about Iowa because that's why we're here today. And really exciting. This has been a 3-year partnership. I've gotten involved in this last 1.5 years and absolutely have enjoyed working with all of the AEAs as we roll this out throughout the state, make people aware, and really show how, you know, uPar can be such a game changer for so many students in helping their reading comprehension. As today, we're like just under 20,000 uPar protocols. And that is really a testament to all the work that is being done really across these AEAs. So I'm super excited about this. I'm excited to see where this project goes. And I just want to take this as that opportunity to thank you all for your work, because I know you juggle so many different things, right? Like this is like my main job, Iowa. Like people, like I talk about Iowa all the time when I'm in our company meetings. So I really thank you for all your work, and just a shout out to you all. Besides that, though, I do help a couple of other statewide initiatives, and I think it's interesting to kind of talk and hear what's going on throughout the country. So within Arkansas, I actually help lead this project as well. So every public school in Arkansas actually has access to uPar, Read and Write, and Equatio. So Read and Write being that really kind of that next step of uPar. Equatio is Text Help's kind of numeracy support, making math digital. uPar scores in Arkansas, they've actually just started using their scores from uPar to actually be used for students to have text-to-speech on Arkansas's standardized reading test. This is really completely new for Arkansas. So to be taking uPar and the data that uPar is telling us and having those students who really benefit with that read aloud support, having them have the ability to have text-to-speech on a state test is really huge. So really excited about the work that we're doing here. To date, we've done about 100,000 uPar protocols throughout the state, which has been absolutely enormous. If you remember, earlier this year, we actually had a little downtime with uPar. We had so many people accessing it. We had to beef up our server capacity for those things. So a lot of exciting things there. Whenever I'm in my meetings with my Arkansas folks, I tell them about the great work in Iowa and the things that we're doing. And so sharing some of these stories across the country, I think is really exciting. Within New Mexico, we have a partnership with the New Mexico cooperatives, very similar to your AEAs. There also is the New Mexico UDL team that we work with as well. And again, this approach is really about that UDL solution for all students. So providing all of these great tools for students and giving them access. So that's through uPar, that's through Snap and Read, Co-Writer, and again, Equatio to districts all across New Mexico. So I know districts in Iowa, they also use Snap and Read and Co-Writer at many district levels. So those are also part of Text Help Solutions as well. So being able to provide those kind of next steps after uPar, I think is really exciting. And New Mexico, like I said, sees this as that UDL solution for all of their students. And then finally, Georgia. Georgia uses a program called Tools for Life. And what this is actually for, it's for special ed students with IEPs, that the state of Georgia actually will provide these 3 tools, uPar, Read and Write, and Equatio, for students with IEPs for their entire K-12 journey. So that's why they kind of call it Tools for Life. And so these are really geared toward only students right now with those IEPs and getting those supports. What's interesting with Georgia is they actually started with Read and Write first and then have added uPar after. So they've had Read and Write for about a year for this program, and then more recently have now actually added uPar as that, that solution that's going to show those students that really do benefit from text-to-speech to help with that comprehension. So just another state that's doing it, in a different way, looking at how we can use all of these tools kind of in conjunction to best support our students. So again, I just like to highlight that this is some of the things that are happening out there. I like to know what's happening around some of the tools and things that I'm working with. So it's great to see how it's being utilized across different states. As we look at district level, so these are a few districts that I've worked with in the past, and there's gonna be a lot of information. I'm not gonna read it to you all, but I just wanna highlight kind of a little bit about their journey of how we got there. And really, as we think about support for districts, that's why we have the great AEAs of Iowa to support them, but you also have me here from Text Help to help support in these conversations. And feel free to always bring me into those conversations and utilize me for any support that you may have. So this is Katie Davis. She's absolutely an amazing AT specialist. I've worked with her for a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And she teaches at a quite larger school district in Indiana. And what's really cool about her story is they started off just kind of with that group license. They had uPar, some Snap and Reading Co-Writer, and they kind of gave uPar here and there as it came through, her AT office. And what happened is because of the recent change to uPar, which was just this last year, which is now really, it's really appropriate now for all students. They decided to roll this out district wide and found that that percentage of students that are actually reading at or above grade level with that support of text to speech went from 64% up to 92%. So for their district, this was a huge, huge win for them. And now this year they have been doing some great work being able to actually push this district wide and giving uPar now to all of their fifth and sixth grade students, hoping to really build capacity for doing other grades in the near future. So, and I think having that data that shows that really is that first key step, and then having those solutions like Snap and Reading Co-Writer. Obviously, Read and Write would be that solution for districts in Iowa currently. But having that data and then acting on it has been so great for her and her team. Again, I'm not reading all these slides. You can read them if you want to kind of learn more information. So this is just as comes from Jamie Negebauer. She is from Elvin ISD, which is actually in Texas. Pretty large district in Texas as well. And Jamie is one of those that has known uPar for years and years and years. She actually has been working with uPar for 10 years. So back then it was actually called PAR, and it was that paper version where if anyone in here, if you did the real version of PAR, give me like a +1 in the meeting chat. I've never, what's crazy? I've never actually seen the paper version. So it's really funny. A lot of people see. And so she's worked with it at that level. And I think anyone that probably is given that paper version, you probably know what a task that is. I don't even know what it entails. Maybe I'll add that as like a to-do thing to look at the paper version of PAR. But again, thinking about, she started small, really was just kind of, mostly in her AT world. She would give it here and there. But again, now with the more recent updates that have been done to uPar, where it's easier to set up protocols, it's easier to connect to those student emails where we can see that data. And like I said, we can give it to all students. This is a district that, again, is looking at some of those, next steps about going on a more district-wide level. And what's great, again, with that new uPar, we can set up, what we call a domain access, which simply puts that school student domains on there, and it makes it instantly accessible for all students when they go to startpar.com. So if you're working with a district that wants to add that, please let me know. We can easily add those domains. It just makes it much easier for students to access it. And makes the setup much simpler. So she's great as well. And if you want to connect with any of these two, they are like, I call them colleagues, but they're really friends as well. So feel free to, I'll be happy to connect you with any of these great ladies. Which brings us into Bobby. So Bobby is not his real name, but Bobby was actually a student that I worked with a couple years ago, actually with Jamie from Elvin ISD. And I love this story because this is one of those cases with uPar where, the student Bobby here did uPar, and actually we found that it wasn't beneficial necessarily right away. But over time, what they were able to do is show improvement. So here is sort of Bobby's uPar report, and this is real student data. So, and I've got permission to utilize this. So we're not the only thing that's been changed is his name. But this was Bobby. He's that fifth grade student, and Jamie told me he's always had just anxiety and early reading challenges throughout his early elementary career. So she was just always like, he just hates reading. He doesn't like it, and just has never had success with it. And so what they did is Jamie said, okay, let's give him uPar and see once if having that text read aloud will help in that kind of reading comprehension. So you can see here a 930. So last year they gave him uPar, and we didn't quite hit that level of success, which is that 75% answering those comprehension questions or greater. Albeit he came very close, but did not hit that. It did not hit that threshold. And she showed him the results every time he took uPar. And when they first looked at it, she said he was kind of discouraged, but they made a plan and said, okay, we have read and write. Let's get him a license of read and write. Let's show him how it works in all of these different environments. And so a month later, they did that quick recheck. And those quick rechecks are really great for those students where we want to see if they're making gains over time with that support. So remember, with uPar, it's not just about that initial protocol. You have those rechecks, you have the do-overs there to kind of help you give you more insights as you're working that student throughout the entire year. So they showed him those supports within read and write. A month later, he was able to successfully answer 75 of those questions correctly. And I remember her calling me and said, "Hey, he got a green square." That's how they talked about it. He got a green square. He was super excited. And so they showed these results to his parents. They got him hooked up with read and write at home as well, because the one great thing about read and write is that login information will be the same. So whether they're at home or school, they'll have those supports. And then really by the end of the year, you can see here they did, another quick recheck. They did a full recheck because they wanted to give him that independent read. And albeit incremental, gains, but at least over time, he was able to see that with those supports, here's what I can understand and learn more independently. So it really instilled even in him about how important those supports are in helping him understand. So I say all of this to you, and I share this story with you because just because initially maybe we don't find where they were successful, it doesn't mean that over time, if shown where those supports are beneficial and how they work, that student maybe wouldn't be able to move that needle and be more successful along there. So you've got those quick checks, you've got those full do-overs within uPar to kind of help you make those decisions as well. I always I knew today's session was going to be shorter. I wanted to keep it kind of shorter today. I've taken 30 minutes of your Wednesdays here. But I've included my training and meeting booker here for you. So you'll have a link to that. What I really like about here is, if you've never used Calendly, I love Calendly, but I've also broken it up in different ways. So, if a district wants to set up that uPar data talk and look at the student data a little bit more detail, feel free to share even that link out to them as well. We've got those virtual training sessions. We've got open office hours where we can talk a little bit about, building that capacity, awareness, those implementation strategies, or then just simply a phone call as well. So even just gearing it towards more, what districts need within some of these different supports as well. So do not be afraid. This directs, right to my calendar, so you'll get the best availability. And we don't have to do this, back and forth of dates and times and all of those things. So use that in there as well. I want to let you know that coming this spring, I'm going to be starting both a certified trainer for uPar and trainer for read and write this spring. So I'm still kind of playing out what these are going to look like and entail. I'm hoping it'll be sort of kind of like a at your own pace, on demand type of training program. But if you're interested at all, especially, as a uPar certified trainer, I'll be sending some communications out through the AEAs, and I hope that we get people signed up. I've gotten requests for people to become certified uPar trainers. So I want to make sure that if that's something that would interest you or anyone at your AEA, that we offer that to you and offer that support to you. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, we're going to keep it simple and short today. I really thank you for joining all of these sessions. I hope they've been informative. On uPar, on Read and Write, you have my email there. Like I said, please feel free to reach out to me. And I'm going to give you back 9 minutes of your day. So
I just want to say thank you, Kyle. We really, really appreciate it. You spending this time with us. And as information, I'm really excited about that trainer opportunity. So we can build some capacity as we're working as maybe an instructional coach or curriculum director, whoever's having those conversations. But again, feel free to reach out to your AEA too if you are interested in getting started. With uPar, we have some licensing again available through the rest of this year for uPar and Read and Write for districts. So reach out, or you'll have my email from this. So just reach out to me and I can connect you with Kyle and we can get the form completed and get your district rolling. And we'll have more information from the department about the subsequent years and what that's going to look like. So I know there's some questions, but they're still working through some logistics right now. So as soon as we have all that information, we'll get that for you too.
Cool.
Does anybody
Thank
have any
you.
questions or need anything in the chat? Anything for me or Kyle before we sign off?
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Have a good day.